Good evening. The main presentation this evening for the Sierra Foothills Amateur Radio Club will be given by Tom Preston, KQ6EO. Tom is an extra class license holder and active operator for 25 years. He's the president of the Sacramento Amateur Radio Club and trustee of the W6AK repeater. His main interest is in emergency communication and is a member of the Communication Reserve for Cal OES. Tom started SAC AREDN Group in 2016 to design and implement the AREDN, which is Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network Mesh System for Sacramento Valley. Please join me in welcoming Tom Preston.
Thank you. Well, he's pretty much told you who I am. I'm Tom Preston, president of SARC. I'm also the liaison for Cal OES for the inland region for AREDN. We just have a small committee that's mainly now just keeping track of who's doing what, not getting really involved in it from the state level. Let's get into it. Okay, AREDN, again, Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network. Their website is www.ardenmesh.org. If you go to arden.org, it used to be their website, and a guy has been holding it for ransom, so make sure you go to the correct one. Our website, www.arden.org. It's where I keep the information of what's going on with us. There is quite a bit of information there, generalized, and then we have a node list. As people put nodes up, I'll keep putting them out there, and it'll have where they are, what frequency they're on, and that kind of stuff. What is AREDN? Okay, AREDN is a ad hoc Wi-Fi with OLSR, which I'll get to, routing for mesh networking. The AREDN Wi-Fi router software is based on OpenWRT. If any of you guys are Linux people, you probably know what that is. It's a software written so that commercial routers that can run open source software, you can load this up and get more features usually out of your router. AREDN OpenWrite and OLSR are all open source. AREDN now runs off-the-shelf WISP hardware. Okay, what is OLSR? If you want, I'll give you a second to read that top one. I'm going to go down to my simple one. Manages the node discovery and link routes for the mesh. That top one is just a mouth twister. Anybody still reading? Okay, AREDN's history. Back in 2001, ARRL started a working group called HSMM, or High Speed Multimedia. In 2004, the OpenWrite project started, working on this replacement software for the routers. In 2006, the team for the working group at ARRL, they got dissatisfied with the way things were going and the way ARRL was taking their recommendations to the FCC, because there's things we'd like to get changed. You know, it's hard to do internet kind of stuff without encryption and stuff. So in a short period, this group broke off and they started HamNet, BBHN, or broadband HamNet. In 2014, the team agreed, this is the HamNet team, to enhance and extend the Linksys WRT54G router to better serve IMCOM purposes. Their purpose, this team wanted to focus on emergency communications. So they went over and they're really, it's a fork of the software. They didn't start over. So they created the Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network. And one of their focuses was to start using WISP-type commercial radios, something that could go outside. The Linksys just were not environmentally, or the environment was not friendly to them. ARRL HSSM Working Group. If you Google that, you can find a lot of information from the back, start forward. Okay, when it was broadband HamNet, this is what the networks look like. You can see in the middle there, that's a high level point, and then it spreads out, but it's all in the Linksys routers. It's all at 2.4 gigahertz. The routers had to be hardened if they were going to be put outside in some other way. Once AREDN got into it, they started using different manufacturers, and their stuff was already set up so it could go outside in harsh environments. Here's a couple of the bands we use. If you notice up there, there is a channel on the 2.4, there's a channel -1 and -2. That's ours. We get that frequency, we don't have to share it with Wi-Fi. On the 3.4, the whole band is ours. We're secondary to the DoD, but one of the guys in my Cal OES group is a federal frequency coordinator, and he checked, and nobody in the DoD is using 3.4 in California. It's all ours. Isn't to say they won't come back to it sometime, like 440 stuff. But for right now, we're free and clear. So I use the 3.4 for all our higher level links. I'm sorry, I keep turning away from this. Can you hear me anyway?
No.
No?
Go ahead. Eat the mic.
Eat the mic. Okay, and the bottom one, 5.8 gigahertz. You'll notice at the end of it, we have a ham-only set of frequencies. Right now, we are using channel -2 on the 2.4s and channel 180 on the 5.8s, 5.9 actually. This is how the network now looks. You'll have high-level connections. Our longest connection right now is from Carpenter Peak to Vaca. It's 57 miles, and we have a good link on the 3.4 gigahertz band. They have, then you can use 3.4 or any of them for the mid-level stuff. That's from the high levels to something local. And then the users, the actual end users, usually hook to one of those local nodes. You can hooked to a high-end node, it doesn't really matter. Okay, is there any questions up to this point? Anything that's being confusing?
Yeah, so it's emergency communications, right? And so packetized data, what kind of throughput do you expect to get out of it? A couple meg?
Oh, much more than that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Figure the same as Wi-Fi 802-1N.
Oh, okay. Wow.
What is-
And we're moving into the AC. The equipment is, as soon as the software catches up, we'll be able to use that too.
Can you run VoIP over it?
Yes. We'll get to that.
And what is your typical user using this on a daily basis?
Let's hold that one.
Okay.
Okay, learning AREDN and mesh networking. Of course, you can go to the AREDN site at ardenmesh.org. You can go to our site at sacarden.org. There's a YouTube there that's got some information on it. And then the Santa Clara County Aries has a site with a lot of info on it. And the Orange County Mesh Aries has a site with a lot of information on it. And they all have links. You can spend hours. Okay, books. This book, Wireless Networking in the Developing World, is available on the internet. It's 160 meg, 524 pages. You can get it from Amazon, and it'll tell you anything you want to know about microwave, mesh networking, anything related to it. It's got everything. Okay. This was the first book out on it, High-Speed Multimedia, from ARRL. And it discusses high-speed multimedia, which became broadband HamNet, and our fundamentals, applications, things like that. It's the base book. Start there. Now, these were suggested by others. I have not read them, but they said they were pretty good for people who were just getting into networking and needed to know enough to work with the mesh. Okay, mesh uses. For ham and com, public service events, things like that. Asterisk or free PBX. That's a Linux-based PBX software. If you're getting telemarketers calling you 53 times a day, it's probably coming from one of those boxes. It's very versatile, and of course, they use it. Phone-to-phone VoIP, where you don't, if you get certain phones, you can just call from one phone to the other. You have to know the IP address. OpenStreetMaps. I have a server running on the mesh that you can get, you can see maps for any place in California. Right down to the same level you can see on Google. Mesh Chat is just a chat program that was written specifically for the mesh. So it's based on call signs and things like that. Video chat, there's several softwares that will do that. TeamSpeak, that's a software that's the gamers, when they talk to each other, multiple role-playing things, when they're not, in the same site, they talk to each other like they're on a radio or whatever. It's a lot of times it's this software or something just like it. Person Finder. Google wrote a program to keep track of finding people during Katrina. This is that software. And you can fork it off and run it on your own server. WinLink relay. We're looking in now to putting a WinLink relay in at Carpenter Peak. OwnCloud, that's just another one of the cloud softwares, which, you know, there's multiples of them out there right now. NINS and RINS docs. For you, if you're ENCOM people, you know what those are. Those are all the documentation and the forms to use during events that are either state or federally managed. Citadel is one of those work group programs, which I'm going to load up on the mesh. It has email, collaboration, groupware, content management, all that kind of stuff. Now, internet access. The way I've handled that is I have a proxy server running, and you cannot, right now on the net, you can't get out to the internet unless one of us turns that on. But if you go to the proxy server, you can get out to certain sites, and those sites are in a list that I maintain. And of course, nothing that's HTTPS will work. In fact, it's even set up so that sites you can't go to, usually it switches to encryption when you go to their shopping page, and the proxy server will turn you off, won't let you go there. And webcams. And we have one webcam up now at Carpenter Peak. Does everybody know where Carpenter Peak is? Okay, it's the highest point in Sacramento County. When you're going towards Tahoe on 50 and you come out of the valley and you start up into El Dorado Hills there, you notice on that steep hill, you'll notice off to both sides, there's a bunch of radio sites. We're the furthest away from the freeway on the north side, beyond your left.
And all the construction houses. All the new homes are being built.
Yeah, but they've got a pretty big size area up there, so. And it's actually worked out well because it's a county site we're in, and they won't allow any internet to come in, so we have to have a shot down to a person's home to get our internet access. Okay, ham-only mesh use. Repeater control. If you got the mesh in your repeater at the same spot, you can control it via internet. Rig control, same difference. Mesh-only ham sites. You know, we can build sites that are just for us to use. Multiplayer video gaming. There are some guys doing this. Nobody in California that I know of, but back east there are a few. And then field day connectivity and logging. And this is just a start, you know, whatever you can think of. If you can do it over the internet, you can do it over the mesh pretty much. I'm going pretty fast. If you have questions, stop me because I usually have a lot of questions.
Okay, I got one for you right now.
Go for it.
Since you've got, this is originally put up with the idea of disaster communications in mind, is that right?
Yeah.
But you've got a whole lot of other capability, which is essentially playtime. How do you put it, tighten down the spigot on that when you need the bandwidth for disaster comms?
Right now, really, there's no way in the software, unless you're a Linux person and can go in and fiddle with the firewalls and stuff. You can't do it with the base setup that's, the AREDN software is written so anybody, even if they're not a networking person, can pretty much put one up and get it going. And it'll link up with everything. You only need to know which band, which channel you want to be on, and the SSID. Oh, and the bandwidth.
So it's all open, all not encrypted Wi-Fi?
Right.
maybe I should ask the question a different way then. How much can all that, or will all of that, I just simply describe it as gameplay, impact bandwidth by served agencies that you're working with to provide disaster comms for?
Well, there'll have to be a ham involved
Of course.
in the setup. So when we build it, if we think we only want the 3 VoIP phones and 2 websites would be, start to strain things, then that's all we would install.
And so during an event, you would cut all other IP access out and only allow certain.
Nope. Just like the internet, everything can go on together. If we have somebody that's causing problems, we'll go out, it's like a repeater jammer. We'll go after them individually.
Well, I think what I hear Jim asking is during an emergency event, what about all these other things that are vying for the bandwidth?
Well, hopefully we'll have enough bandwidth to handle them all.
I noticed that you have 900 megaseconds up there,
Yep.
and your other 2.4, 3, that's more site to site. Does the 900 allow a little bit more flexibility?
It has advantages and disadvantages. Yes, 900 will get some places where the other won't, if it's not quite line of sight. But people have been having other problems, so I've just strayed away from it. We have no 900 in our plans.
Well, right now you've blocked a number of websites, particularly all HTTPS sites, correct?
Oh, going out to the internet?
Yeah,
Yes.
so
There's like 20, 25 of them you can get to, and that's it.
right there you're limiting what you can actually use it for
Right.
and slowing down the spigot somewhat.
Yes, that's true.
Well, it's kind of a private network that's built out using a bunch of different people's stations, routers into that mesh. Is there any kind of centralized control, or is every node its own, the administrator of that node is responsible for the IP traffic on that node?
Yeah, right now, you still gotta follow the Part 97 rules.
Right.
It's just like a repeater or anything else. As it's growing, the AREDN folks have realized that this may be a problem and are looking into it. But right now, it's pretty much wide open.
What are you finding typical traffic to be right now for current users, say in the valley?
Oh, well, we just got really started putting things up. You'll see that later. Only been working on the high-level stuff myself. And now, down in LA, you'll see that in another slide here. They got a lot of stuff going, and they've got a lot of the hospitals, VoIP phones and stuff in them. San Joaquin Valley has several Asterisk PBXs. They've portioned it out by city or area. And it's kind of a, what do we think is the best use for it? And in different areas, that's going to be different things. In California, due to our nice little governments, it's probably going to be radically different than in other areas. Okay, this was just kind of give you an overshot of the country and where there are nodes up. And of course, in a lot of these areas, there's a lot of nodes hidden underneath the others. Now we'll go down to California. And you can see Bay Area has some. LA has quite a bit. Orange County down there has really been into it, and it's been spreading out. They worked their ways up they're way up to Santa Barbara, and then there's a lot of people down in San Diego, and a lot of the people working on the AREDN software are down in that area. They're Qualcomm people and things like that.
Looks like there's a big gap between central Sacramento and southern California, like the Visalia, Bakersfield. I don't see any nodes in there. How are you making that transit?
Hold that thought.
All right.
Okay, here's Frisco and us right now. Sacramento, yep, highest node there is me. The one just off to its right is Carpenter Peak. The one under the Sacramento, ignore because she's moving. And the orange one over here is on Vaca. Now we have, so right now I have, and we can tunnel over the internet when we need to. And that's how we're going to put things together until we can get the infrastructure built out. I have a tunnel going up to one of the guys in Reading, and he's got tunnels all over the world. You add him and the page, the status page just goes. So Carpenter Peak has, it has a 2.4, a 3.4, and a 5.9, all 120-degree sector antennas up there. Over here at Vaca, right now, all it has is an offset dish going across. We would be further on that, but the day we put that dish up, I managed to break my ankle up there. Slow things down a little bit. We got plans going now to jump down to Oso to get into the San Joaquin Valley area. One of the Carla guys, who also is attached to UCD, he wants to go down the Carla Towers, and he's looking into, right now, just buying the hardware, and then we'll start working on that. And there's a guy down in Pittsburgh that wants to get connected up to us. So we'll be spreading out fairly quick. But as you can see, local use, end users, that's what we're out here talking to you guys for.
Where's that cluster up north? Is that Reading area?
Yeah, that's right.
What do you have for portable equipment to be able to extend your nodes, say through that Central Valley, the I-5 corridor there, the 99 corridor, or up against the western slopes?
I am concentrating now just in our area down here.
The question was portable. Portable equipment. Do you have anything? Do you have any plans for?
Oh yeah, we'll have portable equipment, and I got little boxes that can run phones or can run a laptop, plus can run the nodes. But you got to get them up high enough to see something.
I tell you where I'm coming from with it, because I'm the liaison for the Red Cross in Collins. And problematic areas are the Trinity Alps, the western slopes. Anywhere there's mounds of dirt, cell phone goes in the cracker. Unfortunately, the Red Cross depends too much on cell phones.
Yeah.
But I sure see an application here with you folks helping us out.
Now
but if you don't have the portable equipment, there certainly are peaks or areas where you could stick your portable nodes and other stuff. But like with Campfire, we had problems in the shelters with cell phones because the towers that served those shelters or those areas were burned
Right.
out.
You had the guy come up that, his name is John. He has a nice talk. He works for the company that was contracted to go in here and try to get cell sites back
Well,
up.
he gave us a presentation, but the issue here is, and this is where ham radio really helps out in a disaster, at least for the Red Cross, is that there's a latency between the time a shelter opens up, the time we respond,
Yeah.
and we have AT&T, Verizon, our own people coming in with equipment to set up for either earth stations or whatever. There can be as much as 96 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Latency.
The cows they brought in to that fire, I guess they had a hell of a time getting them to sync up. Took them several days.
So the question begs, what do you have or what are you planning for portable equipment, portable stations?
Think about that and give me ideas. You know, the stuff is small. That's a nano station. So if you can get it up high enough and get it pointed at us, you're on. That's why we, at the high level nodes, want to use like 120-degree sector antennas. So from wherever we're at, hopefully we can get up high enough and there's no mountains in the way. It's the same problem we have with the satellite trailers. There's mountains in the way, sometimes we just can't hit a satellite. There will be areas where it'll be easy to use. There will be areas where you cannot use it at all, just due to the topography. Okay, that's where we're at now. Now, these are sites, right now, the Sacramento Amateur Radio Club has a special interest group so that we can run money for the Sac Garden group. So we have a 501c3 and that kind of stuff, and for insurance purposes. But we have an MOU with the county now that we can use any of their sites. Both Carpenter Peak and Vaca are county sites we're in. So most of those in the middle there, clear down to here, we'll be able to get equipment on. And then over here, we're working on getting a site up, the JRB repeater site at UCD. Over here, this is a guy that in a Yellow Areas guy that's in Dixon. He's going to put a tower up, so we'll have a site there. Right now, we're moving slowly just because of the cost. We have to buy the equipment before we put it up in the air.
Can you give us an idea of the cost of a node? It's not horrible, right?
We'll get to that in a minute. And this is what we have now. We're just starting. And I have the equipment to get a 5.9 120 up at Vaca. And we're trying to get, well, we will get sites up at Cali, OES in Mather. CSUS Library will be on top of it. And trying to get a site up where my repeater is on Caltrain's headquarters downtown.
So you mean to tell me you've got 802.11 connectivity between that Vaca node And that's South Sacramento node?
Nope,
That's more.
between this VACA node and that node on the far right over there. It's 57 miles.
57 miles out of here, 211?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
it's running.
That's far.
Yeah, it is.
Use a lot more power. Yeah.
It's a half watt.
Well,
Well,
it has to be a lot more wattage.
It's not stock 8 to 11 though. You've messed with the timers.
Yes, part of the software is to set the timers.
Yeah. Because you can't run standard 8 to 11 that far.
No,
Yeah.
No, and your signal amplitude has to be a lot higher. I don't care how high gain your antennas are. 100 milliwatts won't reach that distance. So
Yeah,
you're-
but ham radio doesn't have to go abide by.
But is that,
Yeah.
right, no, I get that, it's not the IEEE standard to get it to 211.
yeah, right now, VACA has one of these offset dishes. It's 22 dB, and it's a half watt radio on
Kind of nudges, a little
it.
less
Less
than
than half watt
action.
action. Now, I'm only pushing, it's going to 120 antenna over there, that the gain is in the teens. But I plan on putting another one of these up there and moving it from a bandwidth of 5 megahertz up to 10. You can do 5, 10, or 20 megahertz bandwidth in the software. Okay, here's your equipment choices. Ubiquity has about 20 models. They're all in their Air Max line. Microtech has 6 models. TP-Link has 3 models. GLI-Net, I'm not even sure. I haven't seen any of their equipment. They're just working on 4 models. Now you can run a Linksys, the old WRT54G or GL. You can run the BBHN software and hook up to AREDN. But, note down here, you're limited to 2.4 and the Wi-Fi channels only. So you can't attach to our -2 frequency hardware, channel hardware. Raspberry Pi, you can run BBHN on that. I have a couple of those running. A Pi 3, 3 Plus, or one of the new 4s. And then there are some guys out there, the really techies, they've taken a PC, put a card in it, a Wi-Fi card in it, and made a node out of it. But you'll have to do the open write yourself, the OLSR yourself, all that kind of stuff. Okay, in-node equipment, at your house or whatever. The main one up there, that is a nano station. That's this. Depending on the band, they're about a 1/3 watt to a 1/2 watt. And they've got, well, let's say 14 dB antennas in it. Now, most of these pieces of equipment are MIMO, both polarities, vertical and horizontal. So it's like having 2 radios. Some of them are single polarity radios. And this is the one, this is going to be the big user for the end users. But Caltrans, 30 some odd miles up to Carpenter Peak. This is the node I'll be using on the Caltrans side. And it will be attaching to the 120-degree sector antenna up there. And we've run it, it works fine. This lower one is what they call a bullet. It's one of the single polarity. Runs the same software and everything, you just can't get the same throughput through it. I have one of those mounted on my truck. The center one is a TP link that's pretty much equivalent to the nano station. The little box on the right there, you could hook it up to AREDN on the 2.4 band, and then it has a 5.8 on it that you can run normal Wi-Fi and hook it up to your laptops and stuff, your computers. So it's a nice little one to, if you want to use your laptop in another place in the house and you don't want to run a cable to it, just throw one of those up. Lower right, the left-hand side is a sector antenna. The center is an omni antenna, and the right side is one of the possible parabolic antennas. Come on. Okay, for the high level node links, this is what's called, upper left is a rocket. In fact, I have one over here. This is the high power model, whole half watt.
Can't hear you.
Oh, this is the high power model, whole half watt.
You feed them over PoE?
Yes. They're passive 24 volts.
That's not PoE.
Okay, and what you do is you take those. Now, Microtech has what they call a base box, which is fairly equivalent to it. So, you got a dish, you mount it on the back. You've got a sector antenna, you mount it on the back, and you can see that over here. I got a sector antenna set up with the radio on the back of it. And on this one here, you can see on the dish, it's kind of hard to see, but if on the sector antenna, you can see it down there just above the bottom mount point. That's the Microtech base box, and then the other one's the top of a rocket. So you start down here at about 1/3 of a watt. There's a couple of lower models that aren't quite as powerful. If you're doing real short links, they work just fine. Up, and then you work your way up through the models to either the rocket or the base box usually for your long range stuff. This is Carpenter Peak. This is our setup at Carpenter Peak. Those three are the 5.9, 3.4, and the 2.4 120 sectors. And then there's our camera sitting off to the side there.
What height are you out there?
It's only a little over 20 feet up the tower, but the tower's right on top of the hill.
Right.
And it falls off pretty quick, so it's not like it's shaded by the mountain or anything either. This is our website. As you can see, it's got node information that lists all the nodes we know, all the information about them. The backbone and local nodes. Of course, there's only about 3 or 4 radios in there right now. We have forums, and there's forums on the AREDN Mesh website too, with a lot of information. And then just to contact us. Wireless networking in the developing world, lower left there, that's a link to that book. Remember, it is 160 meg, so if you guys don't have very much throughput, it'll take it a while. We have our group, the Sac Arden group, we have a meeting the first Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock, and we do it via Blue Jeans video conferencing. Any of you are welcome to join in. We got about 20 people in the group now, and only about 4 of them are from my club. All the rest are from other clubs. So you can just call me, send me an email, we can get you going.
So at this point, what are your needs to expand the network?
For the Sacramento area down there, it's just equipment. But we need a site up here. And I would like to find a site and then see if we can get to Wolf Mountain to start working our way up the valley. And then, do any of you know Joe D'Angelo? He's got a site up at Berryessa. I've talked to him about putting stuff up there, but unfortunately his stuff was burnt down in the campfire. And last time we talked, he was just on his way up there to start working on it, so it'll be a while, I'm sure. And if any of you have any contacts, a high-level site someplace, like going up the valley or something, that would be great. Get involved with us and help us start moving the high-level nodes out. Or, if you got a semi-high site, put an Omni up.
Are you doing anything at Pilot Hill?
No. It's just Pilot, right now, Carpenter Peak and Pilot Hill aren't that far from each other. You can sit there and look at it, you know. I've got it on my map of things to think about, but have not approached anybody about doing anything up there yet. Do you know somebody?
No, but I live in a hole, but I can see those towers on Pilot Hill. So I just wondered.
Yeah, it's interesting. The towers up there at Carpenter Peak, you know, it's the outskirts of Folsom. And due to the fact that Folsom is in a sunken area, it's probably going to be one of our hardest places to hit people. Unfortunately, I have my house, I live in Citrus Heights, and about 100 yards from me, it's just a little ridge. If that ridge wasn't there, I could hit it easily. It's in my way, so I have to tunnel in right now until I can get a roundabout way to it. Questions?
Yeah, I got one. Other than having an ideal location, not in a hole like I am, what kind of requirements are there to participate in this? Is it a ham radio license, I assume?
Yeah, just a tech.
Tech license?
Yeah, it's microwave, so tech will do.
And then, so that covers all of the FCC requirements for the frequencies that are in use?
Yep.
Authorized ham. Is there any other requirements for a person to operate that?
Nope.
Yeah, money.
Get this up high someplace.
Do you have any issues with road users who might come across some of this equipment and try to attach since it's open?
Actually, we do have one guy or one piece of equipment someplace. I can see it, and the guy down in Pittsburgh can see it. And it's using an SSID like, it's got Sac Arden ID in it. But we haven't been able to find it yet. But it's not affecting us in any way. Since he hasn't got it
Do a
right.
fox hunt?
Do you have a way to monitor the IP traffic
Geez, yeah.
besides the proxy? Like,
Oh, the traffic between nodes?
Yeah.
Or whether he's trying to get out someplace?
well, just to see what he's doing. See, he's gonna be transiting the network at different routing points. Do you have any way to look at that, like net flow? If this was a corporate network, an IP network, we could use net flow where we could see source and destination and what protocols are being used to figure out exactly what that node is doing.
Yeah, well, they're all Linux computers. If the software is fairly small, it can be loaded on the node. But you can always just put a PC on there.
Just, yeah, I mean, it's just something to think about as it grows. You're going to have more instances.
Oh, yeah.
Unknown things.
Everybody already realizes that as it grows, it's got some problems. Like the status, you go to the status page. Once you get linked up to where you're going to LA and all that, the status page wants to show you every one of them. So
Yeah.
my next request to the AREDN guys is going to be, can you give me some way to cut that down? Either by SSID or link costs or something. So I can say, okay, only link costs that are below 4 I can see. So it'll just be your local traffic.
As a control operator, do you have responsibilities of people accessing your gateway? What is your responsibility as that operator?
Same as a repeater. You're not, as a repeater, trustee or owner or whatever, you're not responsible for what they put through the radio. They are still responsible for that. Now, you're going to want to report it to the FCC or whatever you would do on a repeater. You would do the same thing here.
Tom, what are the FCC requires all transmitters to identify themselves every 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, these do it like every 45
How do
milliseconds.
they do it?
We put it in the node name. We put the call sign,
Yeah.
and then what I do is I put a dash, and then QTH or Carpenter Peak or whatever, and then I put a dash, and then I put what band I got it on, a 2, a 3, or a 5.
And so that's transmitted out what, as CW or as part of your?
No, it's part of the just a packet, a regular like internet
The
packet.
host name and the IP header.
Okay. I didn't know if it had to be clear code or it can be.
No, you don't have to ID with CW or voice or anything. And the, it's like the other digital modes. As long as it's a public,
As long as it's not encrypted, you're okay.
well, yeah, as long as it's a public published
Yeah.
spec, yes, thank you.
Okay.
For
Yes.
somebody who's,
So, hey, if I wanted to join this network, could I just pull an old WRT54 out of the jump box, load the software, and register with you guys and get on the net, or
No,
how does that work?
the reason you couldn't is because we used the channels that were outside the Wi-Fi. The WRT boxes, the Linksys, are not capable of doing that.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you can take several of them and load them up and make a little small network.
Okay.
Yeah, the WRT will make a mesh, but you might be able to hack that WRT. It's open source. Get that link system to operate outside the channels that it's made to.
My understanding is that they tried and it doesn't work.
Not broadband enough.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, how are the big, okay, this is connected to the internet, but not part of the internet. How are the IP addresses managed?
The OLSR assigns IPs.
Okay.
When you set it up, it assigns a mesh IP, and then you get to choose whether you want 1.5.13 or what would be the next one up. They just added that. Anyway, how many for your local network you want. And you can DHCP it or you can do it static. Yeah.
For someone who's just wanting to get into this and kind of play around with it, what would a basic starting cost be for something that would be useful to build on?
5.9 or 2.4, about 80 bucks. And that it gives you this and the little power supply. You can get a Nano. It's just a smaller version, not quite as powerful version of this. I think you can get those for about $45. This is the one I just suggest so that as you grow, it can grow with you, where the Nano may become useless to you.
So is the router built into that radio, or does it require an external Ethernet connection?
It's all in there.
It's all built in there?
You just hook a Cat 5 up to it, hook the other end into the little power supply, which there's one over there. And then out of the other side, you know, you can put it into your local home network or whichever.
Interesting.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.